Welcome to the weekly Turtle WoW News with Vrograg Radio Edition. I'm your news anchor org, Vrograg Bishlayer, here to bring you all the top server news for the week of September 23rd, 2024. Let's get to it. I'm the orc, and here's the news. Top news came through a recent post made by Dragonovi from the Turtle team in the teaser channel. An image of the general spellbook for a Forsaken Warrior was shown. Those with a keen eye would notice that the traditional passive Shadow Resist of Azeroth's undead faction is missing, and in place is a passive ability known only as Vengeance. In the text of the post, Dragonovi says, "With the second round of class changes, we are also taking a look at other racial abilities, old and new. This certainly does stir more questions and speculations about what races will look like in 1.17.2. In an attempt to get more clarity about how many races would be receiving changes, I was able to get a quote from team member Morenia, who further elaborated, "All 10 of them are getting a change or another." Little else is officially known about any of these changes for the time being, so while the server waits with bated breath for class changes, now there could be even more excitement, or anxiety, about how all the races might change as well. In other late-breaking news, hours ago, the periodic Fair Play report dropped as of the writing of this script. As always, confirming these reports is next to impossible for a little independent news orc like myself, but taken at face value, the report is impressive. In the last 256 days, 626 RMT participants were banned and had their gold destroyed. Over 2,300 hackers, botters, or other cheaters were banned, and 51 sold accounts were removed. This amounts to over 90,000 gold removed from the economy, 12,000 hours of play time banished, and of course, a predictable 2,300 or more appeals were made. While these are impressive numbers, and my journalistic instinct is to fact-check this report, one thing myself and the team always agree upon is that supporting RMT or exploiting is harmful to our community. If you see something suspicious, report it, because together we can make a fair gameplay experience for everyone. Thank you to the GM team for their investigations and developers for making tools to root out the rotten good-for-nothings in our community. Next in top news, the second week of the Scourge invasion is happening over on Telebim. This marks the penultimate week before the Dread Citadel Naxx is slated to make its grand appearance on the server. Though excitement for Naxx remains high on the server, the Scourge invasion has had a few hiccups, including a small period of time where the event vanished early last week, and some continuing issues where minions of the Scourge refuse to spawn at the various attack points around Azeroth. According to team sources, they are aware of the issue and trying to remedy the situation. Hopefully the remainder of the event goes smoothly and the folk of Bananaland can push back the Scourge to Northrend. And to round out top news, I'd like to highlight some interesting tidbits of information that came as part of the recent Under the Shell broadcast. The audio for the latest episode featured Voji, a senior developer for Turtle WoW, speaking about the content coming to the community. As a result of the show's broadcast, some new things came to light that the public may want to know in case they missed it. First, the dungeon extensions coming with the patch will feature lower-level relic items, a welcome comfort for the hybrid classes who otherwise would have an empty item slot until the mid-50s of levels. While other bosses and themes have been teased, the public learned of a certain Death Knight boss being added to Scarlet Monastery, which sounds like an interesting encounter. Also finding its way to the public through the podcast are the names of 2 new leveling dungeons planned for the 1.8 patch, Hammers and Talons. The 2 new dungeons were revealed to be Stormrot Castle and Dragonmaw Retreat. While presumably Dragonmaw Retreat will be part of the Grim Batol-oriented lore, Stormrot Castle stands alone as a curiosity. Referencing previous notes, new planned zones include Northwatch Ridge and Baylor, so this dungeon might be there, or it could be integrated with another yet unknown zone. Perhaps the most interesting comment from Voji during the podcast was an offhanded remark while speaking on new content. He is quoted as saying, "In the patch, Hammers and Talons 1.18, so a few months from now." Now, after hearing this, I did confirm with Acalix if bringing to air this comment was acceptable with public relations, and I got the green light. So while 1.17.2 is coming soon, it would also seem that 1.18 might be hot on its heels. Of course, exact release dates are impossible to get out of the team, but this does signal that 1.18 is likely to not involve another long waiting period for the community. If you want to hear the podcast for yourself, the recording is available on Everlook Broadcasting's YouTube channel. It is a nice, refreshing listen where the struggles and triumphs of being a Turtle WoW developer are on full display. Thank you to Dan from the radio for facilitating such great content for the station. That is all we have for top news this week. Until next time, I've been Vrograg Fishlayer. Thank you for listening to Everlook Radio, and remember, the deadliest weapon is knowledge. Welcome to Market Watch Radio Edition for the week of September 26, 2024. I'm your market analyst, Vrograg Fishlayer. All our data is gathered from numbers provided by WoWauctions.net, the industry leader in auction house reports. I throw it all together and make indexes of various market sectors, as well as the S&P 200, an index of the 200 biggest and most influential commodities in the economy. Let's crunch the numbers. First, the Telebim. The Alliance S&P 200 grew 20% this week, rising to a September high of 6 gold 45, while the Horde S&P remained steady, only gaining a few silver this week to finish at 6 gold 61. After nearly a month of the Horde market being well inflated over the Alliance market, it seems that the two are once again closer in value and within historical margins of one another. For Alliance markets of interest, mining dropped a staggering 54% from 1 gold 25 to 58 silver on the failing dark iron market. Tailoring likewise lost considerable ground, 40% in fact, finishing the period at 1 gold 8. Despite Naxx Rammus being around the corner, Mooncloth, which is needed for Tier 3 tokens, came down from over 40 gold to just over 20, which heavily swayed the Alliance tailoring market. The last big move this week for the Alliance was seen in Enchanting, which fell 10% in the face of likely many new items coming out of the soon-to-come raid needing those same reagents. If you're interested in the raiding market on the Alliance side of Telebim, now might be the time to find some good deals. For the Telebim Horde market, the same indexes had different movements. Mining only came down 25%, as the Horde supply of dark iron was largely not overvalued. The tailoring market depreciated 28%, ending the week at 92 silver, a much less drastic shift than the Alliance. Curiously though, it was also Mooncloth which was leading the downward pressure, despite it likely coming into more demand soon. And wrapping up Telebim is the Horde Enchanting market, which much more predictably rose in value from 6 gold 50 to 8 gold 54. So for the Horde market watchers, you might be able to find some deals before Naxx drops, but some shoppers are already savvy to upcoming market trends. Over on Nordinar, the S&P 200 trended down for most of the week, but a late-hitting rally on the 22nd staved off losses to only 9 silver on the week. For the last month, the Nordinar S&P 200 has been steadily losing steam. 30 days ago, it was at 9 gold 42, and now it sits at 8 gold 92. Market activity will likely remain down and much less volatile before any hard news about the patch comes out. In some markets of interest, skinning continues to gain value, up 38% this week and 11% on this month, while other gathering professions continue to falter. Herbalism has been stalling, gaining a meager 1 silver this week and being down 2% this month. Even mining, which had a decent month of being up 10%, still lost ground this week, down 5 silver to 1 gold flat. Fishing, while relatively inflated historically following fishing pool changes from last year, lost several silver this week and is down 6% this month alone. Of course, in a matter of scale, oftentimes herbalists and determined fishers can beat out the much lower demand market of leathers. It is still interesting to note skinning's relative success as of late. Also of note has been the decreasing value of Zanzas, as seen through the Zandalar index. In the last 30 days, Zanzas were valued as high as 8 gold 50 back in late August, but since then have dropped in value by about 20%, finishing this week at 5 gold 80. It is a recurring theme the last few weeks, but as the current content cycle grows more stale in the vacuum of release dates, many raiders are taking breaks before the new raid drops. Keep an eye on big raid consumables you might want to resell or use yourself, while their value is still relatively low if you're hoping to make the most of your hard-earned gold. That's all the time we have for this week's Market Watch. I hope you found some of the information here useful. Make sure to use wowauctions.net for all of your own market research. Remember to keep an eye on your coin, otherwise someone else will for you. Back to your regularly scheduled program. Welcome to Turtle WoW News' Community Bulletin, Radio Edition. I'm your host, Vrograg Fishlayer, here to bring you all the community news and updates on events going on in your community, for the player and by the player, for the week of September 26, 2024. It has been a while since we last checked in on the Turtle WoW speedrunning community, and over the summer there was some movement and new additions to the leaderboard. For the true speed demons of Turtle WoW, the competition between Mortality, Hard Knock Society, and Doom Turtles has raged on. These three teams claim all first, second, and third placements for the 4 primary 40-man raids available. Sadly, Doom Turtles has not moved much in their rankings. All of their best times are posted in early May, as insider sources report that the team has spent the summer restructuring. Hard Knock Society claimed third in AQ40 in August with a 5150 and remains first placed in Naxx with their impressive 1 hour 25-minute run from June. Meanwhile, Mortality grabbed first place in AQ40 in June, first in BWL in August, and first in Molten Core just this previous week with a scorching hot 21-minute 23-second run. The only thing keeping them from claiming the quadruple crown is Naxx, where runs from Doom Turtles and Hard Knocks claim second and first respectively. Even though the spectacle of ultra-sweaty speedrunners remains novel, not all are on the leaderboard to claim anything other than a clear time they are proud of. For instance, Tac from Golden Moon contacted me to shout out their smooth Naxx run on September 13th of 3 hours and 14 minutes. Even though by leaderboard standards, that puts them at currently 22nd place, a well-executed, smooth run through Naxx is still an achievement worth celebrating. For many teams who forego invisibility potion skips and the most meta raid compositions, a nice quick run is often worth commemorating. So well done, Golden Moon. Remember, the speedrun archive run by Community Pillar Vita is there for as much competition as they are for self-improvement. So don't be shy. If you have a run you're proud of, let the community know. Besides, we all need to be at our best in the run-up to the Tower of Karazhan. Over in the roleplay world, this last week in the Silver Covenant were searching for the final binding fragment for a water elemental named Aquarius. Their journey took them to the hot volcano region of the Ungoro crater, where rumor has it they made battle against a mighty fire elemental and servant of Ragnaros. Hopefully the expedition made it back in one piece and the Silver Covenant had enough aloe on hand for all the burns. Coming up this week, the Lion's Pride Legion hosted for a little autumn seasonal event happening in their tavern on September 26th at 7 p.m. server time. So if you're hoping to stave off the cool air blowing in this time of year, make sure to check it out. And naturally, a few days after the event, the same crew looks to be making a supply run to Booty Bay for alcohol. The posting makes it seem like it might be a wild jungle adventure, so come prepared on September 28th at 7 p.m. server time. Whether it's events, pugs, or just general fun, Turtle WoW is more than a game, it's a community. So do your part in continuing that legacy by getting involved. I've been Vrograg Fishlayer, wishing you all a fun week on the server. Loktar Rogar. Vrograg Fishlayer here, keeping you up to date and informed about all the latest changes and adjustments coming to you through the Changelog. Today we'll look at the Changelog from September 17, 2024, which hosted a mere 8 separate changes. Let's check out the most impactful ones with this week's Changelog roundup. Warriors all over Azeroth have been abuzz about a new technique revealed at the Arms and Armaments Expo in Gurubashi last week. A gnome warrior wearing a lot of intellect gear showed off a brilliant new way to use the classic charge technique. All he did was charge to the outer range of his quarry's melee range rather than to the traditional center of the enemy. This one simple trick, while seemingly quite logical to most other classes, was a true eureka moment for warriors all over. One warrior in the crowd even remarked, "Now I don't have to jump into the hot center of Ragnaros. This is great." The rest of Azeroth clapped in a completely not patronizing way to all warriors who have now adopted this radical change in movement. The Goblin Maid Looking for Turtles device had a recent update that now allows more announcements to be made through the Goblin group finding internet. Previously, a very greedy goblin got the idea to start charging users of the LFT device by the word, rather than the standard fee. This led to many users stopping to use the device altogether because if they didn't pay, the message would be blocked. The managing partner in charge of the Word for Copper scheme was sacked, and the device should now work as normal. Over in Eastern Plaguelands, an abandoned Scourge supply cart was discovered, its wheels seemingly broken from the massive weight of the payload. After cleansing rituals were performed by members of the Argent Dawn, it was discovered that the cart was full of war-torn chain scraps. Puzzled at what to do with the useless supplies, the Argent Dawn left the freshly repaired cart near Naxx in the hopes that Kel'Thuzad would pick up his trash. Days later, the cart and its contents vanished, though many reports have come out from raiding parties attacking the Dread Citadel that they are starting to find more chain scraps from their fallen enemies. And finally, the warring sides in the conflict over Alterac Valley finally attended an arbitration meeting over recent complaints from the Horde and Alliance armies that the two stubborn generals were refusing to admit defeat, even after they lost all objectives in their little wargame. After some tense negotiations between Vandar Stormspike and Drekthar, it would seem that every single time the battlefield did not close on either side, it was not at their command, but rather an influential cadre of herbalists and fishers who worked over both factions to give them false information to not give up, so that meanwhile they could loot the very land the two generals were fighting over. Though the two rivals could agree on little, it would seem that they both plan to no longer use players with pockets full of herbs and fish as their battlefield informants. That completes the Changelog roundup for last week. This week's Changelog may be out soon, so make sure to check it out so you can keep on top of all the latest adjustments coming to Turtle WoW. I've been Vrograg Fishlayer with Everlook Radio, reminding you all to stay informed, because the deadliest weapon is knowledge.